I've saved my document as baseguidelines.ai, found inside the O8 type folder. In this exercise, we're going to import some text into the document. Now, you can create text directly inside of Illustrator using the type tool right there. And feel free to do so. It's just that typically it's easier to create your text, especially if you have a lot of text to work with, a lot of body copy. It's easier to create that body copy inside of a word processor, such as Microsoft Word being the most popular example, but you've got WordPad and you've got TextEdit and all these other programs floating around as well. Now, in our case, we'll be importing an unformatted text-only document. However, Illustrator supports Word documents and other kinds of files as well. All right, so let's go to the File menu and choose the Place command, or if you loaded D keys, you have a keyboard shortcut of Control-Alt-D, Command-Option-D on the Mac. The reason being that Control-D or Command-D is an age-old keyboard shortcut for the Place command. It goes back to the original days of PageMaker. It's been picked up by quite a few other applications over time, so I figured this made some sense. And then navigate your way to the O8 type folder inside your exercise files folder, and you'll find, among other files, a file called limerick.txt. And I want you to see something here. If I go down to Files of Type and click on this pop-up menu, I can find a list of the various file formats that Illustrator lets you place. And notice that we have the old Microsoft Word format, that is .doc, and we also have the new format, which is .docx. We've got RTF, which is rich text format, and we've got text only, and that's enough to serve us pretty well here. So you don't have to select one of those file formats, incidentally. I'm just showing them to you. All you need to do is select the Limerick file and click the Place button. Now you'll see a dialog box of options depending on the file format that you're importing. Now, if I was bringing in a Word file, I'd see some footnote options, some indexing options as well. When I'm importing a text-only document, it's asking me what platform I'm using, what character set. It shouldn't much matter what you set your options to. You should just be able to click OK in order to bring that text into your Illustrator document. Now, notice that Illustrator has gone ahead and placed all the text because we can see a bunch of room down here at the bottom of this rectangular text block. Also notice that we do have a rectangle, or a text frame if you prefer, that's enclosing the text. And that will determine the limitations of the text and how it wraps and all sorts of other good stuff. However, it'd be nice to go ahead and fit this text block inside of the confines of our margin guides. So to do that, I'd like to go ahead and drag the corner handles. That's the easiest way to work when you're trying to reflow text inside of Illustrator or any other program for that matter. However, you may recall that way back when I turned off my bounding box. Well, now's a good time to turn it back on. So go up to the View menu and choose Show Bounding Box. That's Control-Shift-B, Command-Shift-B on the Mac. Again, I'm not a really big fan of the bounding box when I'm working with paths and other Illustrator elements. However, when working with text frames, it can be very useful. Now, I'm still not seeing the bounding box, and that's because I have my white arrow tool selected. I'll press the V key in order to switch to the black arrow tool, and now there are my bounding box handles. Okay, so I'm going to drag that bottom right handle so that it snaps into alignment with the bottom right corner of my margin guide, and then I'll drag the top left handle so that it snaps into alignment with that second guideline in. And then I'll also go ahead and drag that top handle downward in order to squish the text so that we have some room up here at the top of the first page for my headline. And the headline's actually contained inside of the text right here, but we're going to have to extract it out of there in just a moment. First, I want you to notice this little red plus sign right there, and it's hard to see. I'll click off of my object for a moment and zoom in on my text a little bit, like so, and you can see that there is a red plus sign. It's hidden by my guideline, so I'll press Control semicolon or Command semicolon on the Mac, and there it finally is, a little red plus sign inside of a little red box. And what that means is we have what's known as overflow text. In other words, my poem does not entirely fit inside of the confines of this text frame. So I'm going to bring back my guidelines by pressing Control semicolon, Command semicolon on the Mac. I will click anywhere inside of this text block in order to select it, and then I'm going to click on that little red plus sign. And what that does is it loads my cursor. Notice that? My cursor is now loaded with text. I'll press Control minus or Command minus in order to zoom out. I'll spacebar drag over so that I can see artboard number 2 here, and I'm going to drag from this corner right there, that is the intersection of the margin rectangle and that vertical guideline. I'll drag from that location to the bottom right corner of the margin rectangle in order to create a second text block into which the first block is flowing. So notice the first block of text is now linked to that second block of text, and the text is now flowing from block 1 into block 2. Because we're going to format this text so that it fills all 3 pages, I want to make sure we have yet another overflow text block on Artboard 3. So I'm going to click on that little box right there in order to load my cursor again. Even though there is no overflow text at this point, you can create yet another linked text block if you like. And I'm going to drag now this time from this intersection, that is the top of the margin rectangle along with that vertical guide element. I'm going to drag from here down to the bottom right-hand corner in order to create a third text block. And you know what? I'm going to press Shift-Tab so that I'm hiding those right side panels. I want to be able to take in all of these text blocks here inside of my document. So now I'll go ahead and press Control-A or Command-A on the Mac so that we can see all 3 text frames, and notice that each one of them is linked with the one next to it. So we've now established a series of linked text frames into which our copy will automatically flow as we format it. In the next exercise, we're going to go ahead and extract out the headline and the byline and format it here at the top of the first artboard.